Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Thank you for being here today. I hope that you're doing okay. The topic today is one that I hope you find interesting. It's one that we think about as we get a little older, and it's just a suggestion, some ideas for how to share with our children and our friends and family a little bit of our lives. Now, one of our bloggers, her name is Barbara Greenleaf, wrote this article on, what do your children want rather than your china and your furniture and things that, you've purchased over the years. How will they understand the essence of you? How, if you could leave them something, would it be an essence of you? Something that they would learn a little bit about what was important, things that you treasured. And she suggests that you put together a memory box. Now, I, in a way, have a memory box, but I didn't call it that, and I didn't even think about it in that way. But that's what it is. It's a little box that has, a little big box actually, that has in it things that I would love my children and grandchildren to have and read when I die. And I think it's important that we think about that, because our natural inclination is, yes, we want to leave them some cash, we want to leave them material things. It's something that they've always treasured, like maybe a chest of drawers or a piece of jewelry or something like that. But the real essence here that Barbara talks about is leaving something that is like opening a little book of your life. Now, one thing I have, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that she suggests, because I think they're really wonderful. But one of the things that I purchased was a book. It's called The Book of Me. And I got it from Amazon. You can get it very easily. And I've mentioned it before in other videos, but it's called The Book of Me. And it's basically a book where you get a bunch of questions that you sit down and answer in the book. You actually take a pen, you write the answers, and they are just so revealing. And I did this during a time when I was, when I had some hours in the day where I would go into work in another location, because I work from home. So I'd go to find a cafe. And I'd sit down and I'd do like 2 or 3 hours of work, and then I would give myself half an hour to open the book and answer some questions. And I'm so glad I did, because it asks you about your childhood, your memories of what you accomplished, what was important to you. And I just let it all flow. And it was, I actually never have picked it up again since. I didn't want to review it myself. It's there for my sons and my grandchildren to read. But she talks about this fact that when you ask your children, do you know anything about my childhood? It's like, not really, because when they're little, they're not listening, and when they're older, they're busy. And so it's kind of fun to share that. I know the other day I was telling them about when I was a child, my dad was a mechanic, and he would always bring home really fancy cars that he worked on at lunchtime, and we would go sit in the cars, the Jaguars and the Morgans and all these cool English cars. And he worked on them. But our car was a Renault, or Citroen, or some little car, and it had a hole in the floor. And my dad used to put like a little rug over the hole so that we wouldn't fall through it. Well, it wasn't very big. It was like this big, but I'm exaggerating. But anyway, and we used to always take the rug off and watch the road as it was going by. And, it's like, okay, that's a memory. When we took seatbelts were not even invented at that point. So it was kind of just one of those personal things. But anyway, a memory box. Let's go back to the topic, Margaret, of what you can put in your memory box. And she actually, in the article, it's really kind of cool. She actually talks about, she has a book, it's called Parents of Adult Children, You Are Not Alone. And she did some research with her viewers and her readers as to what they put in their memory box. And I wanted to read some of these because they're really, really cool. So one person would really love the little, she was a therapist and worked with kids. So she used to put the letters that the children wrote to her in the memory box, because they were beautiful little stories about thank you for what you did for me. And, just showing that what she did as a speech therapist really helped people, and it really changed their lives. So that's what she put in the memory box. Another person was a musician, or at least she dreamt to be a musician, and she put these little songs that she would written, the words, the poems, in the memory box, because who would know that she had written these little songs and poems when she was younger, and they were important to her. They were her dream. They represented her, and that's getting back to this essential. What goes in your memory box is essential. I'm actually, as I'm waving things, I'm realizing that this ring is one of the few things I have left. of jewelry from past years, and it's a ring that has a story, and I've got that will go into the memory box as well, like how I bought it, where it was, why it was precious, and I've worn this thing for like all my life, and it's just because it's so special, and it actually it represents me. Another thing people put, like, are documents, people getting an award or a certificate that showed some recognition of the things that they had done in their life. That's another wonderful thing to put in a memory box. Simple things like, invitations to an event that was just so precious. But it told something again about that person's life. Names and dates of ancestors. An ancestor tree, that's a really fun thing to put into a memory box, because who's going to take the time when you're not there to explain it? Well, who their relatives are, who their grandparents were, and the family tree. It's a really cool thing. So this box, by the way, can be big, it can be small, but it could be big enough for documents. And for me, I wrote a book. When I was working with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, which was on hospices, and you can still get it on Amazon. But it's a book I wrote before there were any hospices in the United States, 1983, and it was a book about the movement of hospices, and just the appreciation of what they do. And I wrote the book, and it was after my mom had died, and I had gone through my own loss. So I would put that. Well, that is in my box. That is in my box of treasures. And that's so books, your scrapbooks from high school, your high school yearbook. That might be something that you want to pop in there. All the little notes that people wrote about you, and the memories. I still have mine for some reason. I don't know why. That's really funny. Well, so that reminds me of books. That's another thing that you might want to leave for someone. Now, I'm in my 70s right now, so I'm thinking, I'm being realistic. Things can happen. And so I put in my memory box a book. Right now I have grandchildren who are 5 and almost 3, and they would be surprised if I wasn't here anymore. It would be like, how would you explain that to a young child? So in my memory box, I put a book, which is really cool, about explaining life and about how the circles go, and how important it is to not be sad, but to see it as the next gateway to their lives. They're there because of me, and I am in their DNA, and I always will be. So that was a really cool thing that I put into my box. I've got my will and all those kinds of the paperwork that you might need, but I also got like some letters and poems. I have a list of songs that I loved and why I love them. And these seem like such trivial things, don't they? They seem like just like, little gadgets, little, personal things that mean nothing to an adult child. But trust me, the research shows that your children would much prefer to get a book that you've written about your life, about your childhood, your memories, recognition of the things you were proud of, things that you treasure. And they could be things. I mean, like my ring, for example, they could be, a piece of jewelry or a necklace or something that's been handed down, through the generations, or it could be, a key to something. But it doesn't have to be, the china or the pottery, or it could be pottery if you are a potter. It could be a very special piece that you've made, your first piece, or a piece that won an award, or a piece that was just your favorite, and maybe a little note as to why it was included in that box. Love letters, could be a love letter. It depends if you're with a partner, or something that was precious to the two of you. It could be, just something that you made, just a little craft item, something that you constructed from your hands, something you invented, something that's precious to you. Anyway, I just think it's really a cool topic, and I think I'd love this little article by about memory boxes as being an alternative to all the other things that you could consider giving to your children as a legacy. Of course, the financial side is always kind of, where we focus, but it's not the most important thing. I certainly won't be leaving all my makeup collection or anything that was just so personal to me, that was just so trivial. And I say trivial only because it's a thing. I mean, maybe my friends would love my makeup or love something, but in that memory box, it's you. It's like a little box, or a big box that contains your essence, the truth of who you are. That's what I think people want to see when you're not there any longer, want to read, want to experience. So I'd love to ask you, What would you put in your memory box? I know it's a tough topic, and it's one that, but it should be a good one. It should be a fun one. I mean, it's just a way to celebrate your life. So what would you put in your memory box? And maybe you could tell us why. Maybe just a couple of things you could explain why they're going in there, why they are so important to you. Actually, in Bethany's article, she puts together all these people that Barbara, all the different things that they put in their memory boxes. It might be fun to do one for 60andMe. Just do like another article on all the things that you say you put in your memory box. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here, for being such incredible people, and for not for me, just me, but your each other and your families and your country and the world. I just hope that you're doing okay wherever you are, and know that I'm sending you lots and lots of love. But I'd love to know what's in your memory box. Take good care, everybody. Bye bye for now.